Pilch, do you want to start us off? Who is your first winner of the week?
First winner of the week, Washington football team. Finally top of the... Actually, they might have been top last week, but they're top of the NFC East, and barring a miracle, they're probably going to take it out. So, congrats to the Redskins. Actually, the football team.
Whoa!
The football team, sorry.
Yeah, well done.
Racist.
Well done, mate. Are you ruling out your G-men yet, or are you still backing them in?
Yeah, because I've just sussed their schedule, and
Yeah, they
yeah,
need to beat the
they're
Browns or
done.
the Ravens.
They're done.
Probably. Yeah. Washington are one of my winners as well. Beat a pretty disappointing 49ers team. It was a pretty sloppy game, but Washington's defense won it for them. Chase Young had put on an absolute clinic. He is turning out to be the beast that everyone thought he was going to be. But yeah, Alex Smith got injured.
Weapon.
Haskins came in. Like, they didn't do much on offense, but did enough to win the game. Their defense is like seriously elite though, and they're now 6-7. They've got the Seahawks, Panthers, and Eagles to come. And I was looking at my 538 predictions website thing, and they're up to a 74% chance of making the playoffs, which is easily the highest any NFC East team has had all season. So yeah, massive week for the Washington football team. So they're 6-7 now. They've got Seahawks, Panthers, Eagles. Are we backing them in to win two of those, Pilch? Or we'll go to Curtis. Curtis, how many do you reckon of those three are they winning? Seahawks, Panthers, and Eagles.
Definitely two, and low-key chance to beat the Seahawks as well. I reckon they're a good matchup with their beast defense, and the Seahawks are really relying on the offense. So I reckon they're a good matchup there as well.
Yeah, if they win all three, they end up going 9-7. So all this shit talk about this division is kind of irrelevant then. But all right, Kurt.
I'm gonna say they go 1-2.
Yeah.
As a salty couple.
Yeah, I did my playoff predictor thing before, and I had them going 1-2. But I agree with Kurt. I think upset watch for this week against the Seahawks, and then the Eagles. Who knows what they'll put up in the last round? Curtis, do you have a winner for us, mate? Or
are we doing the whole NFC?
Any league, any team. You can get on any side.
I'm tossing up between the Rams and the Bears, but I'm going to go the Bears. Back on the win sheet, mate. Trubisky played well. They're low key still in the race. Like they're still in the category of the Vikings and stuff. So, yeah, a little saucy call there, but I think the Bears looked pretty good. Their defense actually came up big again. Well, not again, for like once in the last 3 weeks they actually came up big. So, yeah, I'm gonna say they're back on the winner's sheet, and yeah, big old Trubisky's looking good.
Yeah, 100% agree with you there. They were the underdogs going into that one with Houston, and I mentioned it last week, saying that's a cheeky chance for an upset there, but didn't expect it to be that much of a blowout. Kurt, you're a bit of a fan of Trubisky. Do you think he should be the man going forward and into next season?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say I'm a massive fan of him, but like compared to Foles, like I think there's not even a comparison. Like I don't even know why Foles got even a shot, to be honest. Given their O-line's pretty dog shit, but somehow Trubisky's athleticism like really helps out with that, and Montgomery's playing well at the moment. So, yeah, I think Trubisky definitely needs to lay claim to that starting spot for the rest of the season. And if they manage to sneak into the playoffs, which is pretty unlikely, but if so, definitely deserves the spot in the playoffs.
Yeah, that number 7 wildcard spot is what they would be vying out for. That position's kind of gone to the shit, really. At the moment, I've got a team going 8-8, winning it, so not the highest quality of depth in the NFC at the moment. Pilch, do you have any other winners, mate?
Indeed, Baltimore Ravens. Huge matchup this week against the Browns, and they got it done in Cleveland. So for me, they're back to second best team in that division, and they're going to be a threat in the playoffs. Big threat.
Yeah, it was
Super Bowl contention.
Oh, I don't know about that, mate. I think you need to just pump the brakes there a little bit. They've got the Chiefs to contend with, but um, the Ravens have been hard to trust all year, but that's definitely one of their best performances. Surprisingly, it wasn't their defense getting them over the line though, which is what we normally expect. Lamar had one of his best games of the season. He's not been in the greatest of form, but he looks to have kind of snapped that in the last 2 weeks. Andrews and Willie Snead put up some big catches when in the clutch moments. I think it was Trace McSorley threw one on a fourth down to Willie Snead with only like 3 minutes to go, and he clutched up and juked it. So the receivers are finally stepping up, and yeah, it's looking pretty decent for the Ravens. It'll be interesting to see how they go, whether they're likely going to be matched up against the Bills or the Titans or something. So that'll be a pretty good game. But
By the way, do you reckon Lamar was cramping or he shat himself?
Is that a rumor that he shat himself?
Yeah, it was all over social media. Did you watch the game
Yeah.
when he went off? Yeah, I'm talking like all over Twitter. Everyone's saying he had diarrhea and he had to go take a shit. Because they said he was cramping, but I'm talking he was sprinting off, like sprinted to the locker rooms, straight into the bathrooms.
Yeah,
So, had himself.
It actually could be a fair thing.
Might have
Like,
munted.
surely that does happen.
Might have munted as well, actually.
Yeah, he's done the Corey Kerrison shat himself, turning around to appeal. But yeah, no, that's another story for another day, though. But yeah, it was pretty Superman effort from him. He just appeared after the 2 minute warning, and then first attempt just put through a 70-yard touchdown.
Mate,
or whatever
that was disgusting defense.
Yeah, it was a great game
in that game. I reckon the Browns are still in the winners, even though they lost that game.
Yeah, I agree with you. Actually, I didn't really rate them that much going into it. And
I think their offense showed up big. Baker looked pretty good. Obviously, they got 2 elite running backs, and their defense probably just had like an off game. And we know Baltimore's D's elite, so I reckon you're ticking boxes by the fact that their D looked pretty average. But that's just been a one-off so far for this season.
Yeah, they're the real deal, but I feel like that's been established by now.
Yeah,
especially after last week.
The AFC playoffs are absolutely stacked. The AFC playoffs are going to be that good. Like, all 3 games on the first weekend are going to be pretty intense. Like, you got teams like the Ravens and Browns likely to play either the Titans, Bills, Steelers, or Chiefs. So very juicy stuff there.
Or Indy.
Oh yeah, true, Indy. But I've got them coming in at 7th at the moment, but they're also kind of a spicy team as well. My second winner is the Eagles, the other NFC East winner. Jalen Hurts, first start, put on a bit of a clinic. They've finally had enough of Carson Wentz. I think it's about time, to be honest. I don't think they had much to lose at this point by benching him. And tough for Hurts that he had to debut against probably the best defense in the comp, but he came out with a win. Sanders had a great game as well. I think he had like an 85-yard touchdown, something like that. Jalen Hurts went over 100 yards on the ground as well. And all of a sudden, in my opinion, they're actually a sniff at the playoff spot again. I think they would have to win 2 out of their 3, and Washington would only have to win 1 of their final 3. But I think it's a chance if they're going to look like this week in, week out. I can't see why they can't win out almost. So I think it was a pretty big week for the Eagles. Didn't look like anyone could beat the Saints, but they got the job done. Their defense is actually really, really good. Probably a bit underrated, I'd say. But on the flip side of that argument, a big loser this week is probably Carson Wentz. It looks like, barring a miracle, he won't be the starter in Philadelphia in 2021. You'd think Hurts will get the gig moving forward, and that means he's either just going to have to cop a spot on the bench or someone's going to have to pick up that hefty contract. So it's not looking good for Carson at all. But yeah, poor Wency. Love the great man, but he's had an absolute stinker. Curtis, any other side you want to mention? Do you want to mention the Rams or?
I reckon the Rams are a big winner. Just kind of solidifying a bit of a spot in the playoffs. I mean, I don't know, the Pats were beasts the week before, and then they just ran them over. So, yeah, I think they're looking pretty good. The Rams, in all honesty, their defense is real solid with Donald and Ramsey, and then I don't know, Goff's looking pretty good, and they've got a good running back core, so they're looking pretty solid. The Rams.
Yeah, they're actually almost kind of looking like the Browns a bit with a more solid defense, but yeah, Goff's doing absolute bits, and yeah, Akers absolutely killed it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't it look like in the first half of the season he was going to be a bit of a flop, but he is absolutely sprouted the last month or so, and he's taken charge of that backfield and absolutely killing it. All right, losers, Pilch. Who have you got in the losers this
Yeah.
week?
Wentz obviously gets benched, and then Hurts balls out. Big knock to Wentzos, and I reckon he might land at the Pats next season. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I saw that being floated. I don't mind it. Kurt, do you back that or not really?
He's Newton's dog
I
shit.
don't know. Yeah, but I don't know if the Pats would even go for it. Like he's on a massive contract.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Like it's a franchise max or something like that. We're talking like hundreds of millions, and
Yeah.
I don't know if the Pats would even like be eyeing that at all. So I think the Eagles are in a bit of a sticky spot, to be honest, because I don't know if they can get rid of Wentz.
Yeah, it'd be a massive risk for whoever takes that contract up. But we saw the Bears take up Foles' contract, so we've probably seen crazier things. But yeah, not looking too good for Wentz right now. It does look like he might just have to rot on the pine. But I hope he goes somewhere else, just for as a viewer. But I understand with that contract, it's making things very, very tough. Curtis, do you have anyone for the losers section here, mate?
The Steelers, mate.
Yeah,
Speaking of, I don't know if you mentioned the Bills. They're a big winner for the week as
yeah,
well.
yeah. We actually didn't mention that. That's probably a bit stiff, but
Yeah, and specifically Allen was balling, I have to say, especially in that second half. But anyway, on to the losers. The Steelers. I know they've looked real worrying the last 2 weeks. And to be honest, I'm a bit worried about them in the playoffs now. I don't even know if they're going to actually win their first playoff game because their seeds now looking in a bit of strife. And they're just completely out of form. Their D looked pretty average. They're full of injuries at the moment. And I don't know, even their wide receiver core, which we were all like raving about weeks ago with Claypool, Washington, Johnson, and Juju, they're all looking pretty average. And suddenly, like, they're not throwing those, massive passes to Claypool, and Juju's not running those crossing routes like as well, and they're getting cut off a bit as we saw in that interception with the Bills game this week. So I know I reckon they're pretty worrying, and I think I read somewhere that they've only rushed for 136 yards in the last 3 weeks. So
Mate,
even
Connor
their
is so
rushing,
bad.
yeah,
Talking,
even with their rushing, mate, it's a worry. The whole thing's a bit of a worry at the moment with the Steelers.
yeah,
facts.
I 100%
Facts.
agree with you there. After the Washington loss, I was just like, oh, they've had some weird fixtures. We'll just forget about it. And yes, the Bills are a really good team. I highly rate them. Yeah, definitely worrying loss. Claypool's kind of gone missing, hasn't he? I almost forgot about him until you just mentioned him. But yeah, not looking good for the Steelers at all. Also, a lot of injuries on defense, which was looking like it was going to be the side of the ball that was going to carry them to the playoffs or an AFC championship game. But yeah, not looking good for them at the moment, especially when all the other AFC playoff teams are trending upwards, such as the Ravens and the Browns. So yeah, worrying times in Pittsburgh, and they've really got to bounce back in the next 3 weeks if they're gonna, charge for that Super Bowl or anything. My first loser is actually the New York Giants. They get talked about probably more than any other team on this podcast, but yeah, big loss to an out of form Cardinals side, and that along with Philly and Washington both getting up. I don't think anything could have gone much worse for the Giants really this weekend. They went from being like straight up 50-50 chances of making the playoffs with Washington last week to all of a sudden, in my opinion, they're the third shot. Like statistically, they're still the second most likely to make it. But yeah, it's not looking good for them at the moment. Daniel Jones didn't have a single carry in his return from his hamstring injury, which shows that he's basically still got a hamstring injury and he's just going to give it a crack. The defense, which has been the thing that was carrying them in the previous weeks, conceded 26 points to an Arizona team that had been struggling to score. So that's not ideal. Wayne Gallman seems to have slowed down after he'd put up like 100 plus in like 3 weeks in a row. And now they they do have to beat the Ravens or the Browns. And then I think they have the Cowboys in the last week. They have to win that as well. So yeah, it's looking unlikely that they're going to be able to win one of those Browns Ravens games. They have produced a few upsets this year, but it'll have to take something special in one of those if they're going to make it from here. And yet, after the weekend's performance, I've lost a lot of faith in the Giants as a playoff contender. So yeah, sad. Are you sad about them, Pilch, or do you think there's still a chance?
Devastated, mate. Devastated, but definitely not favourites anymore, but still a sniff.
Yeah, fair enough. Pilch, do you have any other losers, mate?
Yeah, mate. Saints, pretty shocking loss to the Eagles, and they've just tossed away their number one seed in the NFC to the Packers. And the Eagles have given up like by far the most sacks this season. Saints had 0 sacks against them, and they've given up an 85-yard touchdown to Sanders. So their frontline defense has had a stinker, and yeah, they were just shit.
Yeah, it was pretty surprising. That was one of my like sure bets of the week last week. I thought that was a locked in win, but
Same.
yeah, are you worried about the Saints, Curtis? If Drew Brees can't get back, do you think they're out of NFC Championship contention, or do you think it's
No,
just a
because I feel like the Saints, I don't know, they played a stinker of the first half where they just let Taysom Hill throw the ball, and that's like all honesty, like he's a decent QB, but he's not a good he's not a good thrower. Like that's not his skill set. He's built like a tight end. He's like a mower, mate. He's just gonna go straight through that D line of the opposition. So I don't know they're gonna play him a bit like the Eagles played Hurts this week actually, where they need to do a few RPOs and run the man and try use his skill set rather than form into something that he's not.
Yeah, no, I back that. Do you think Breeze will get back before the end of the year, Curtis? I know we haven't heard too much about his injuries in a while, but
I'm not sure. I feel like if he doesn't, I reckon he might call it, to be honest. So I feel like he's gonna either get back and play this year, or he might call it with the career, to be honest.
yes, his injuries are pretty freaking hectic. It's like 14 broken ribs or some shit. But
Yeah.
they're saying he's going to be back before playoffs. But yeah, I don't know if he will be, if I'm honest. But yeah, it'll be interesting. If they've got Taysom Hill at quarterback, I don't know if they can win the NFC Championship, to be honest. But yeah, their defense, it's been pretty incredible. So we'll see what they can do in the playoffs. My second loser is the 49ers, Kurt's boys. I've been all over the 49ers in the past 3 weeks, but yeah, I had to mention them in a negative light here. They got beaten by Washington, who didn't score a single offensive touchdown, and for that reason, it's all but really eliminated them from the playoff race. I thought they were a good smoky for the seventh spot in the playoffs, the third wild card, but yeah, now they're going to have to produce something special, like going 3-3 from their last three. They've got the Cowboys, Cardinals, and Seahawks. So I don't think it's completely out of the question. But given the fact that they've lost like 5 on the trot or something, or they've won one, lost 4 or something like that, the last 5, it's not looking too likely.
Sorry, boys.
That's all good, mate. Bless you. If they miss out, that will make it 4 of the last 5 Super Bowl losers have missed the playoffs in one of the 2 following seasons. So there's definitely some sort of Super Bowl losing curse going on, because that's pretty weird. But they have been decimated by injuries. It does have to be fair. It does have to be stated if we're going to be fair about it. But yeah, disappointing from the Niners, especially on the weekend. I thought that would have been their chance to like announce their playoff candidacy by beating an informed Washington team, but they couldn't get it done. So yeah, a little bit disappointing there. Curtis, any other losers you want to mention?
The Raiders. They got absolutely pumped by the Colts. So I don't know. It's a bit of a worry that bar the Chiefs when they come up against some good talented teams. Well, to be fair, the Colts aren't even that talented. They're just a well-coached team, well-structured, and they just get the job done. But the fact that they just got pumped by the Colts, who aren't exactly anything special in terms of like the talent they have on their roster, it's a bit of a concern because they got 44 put up against them, with an offense that like doesn't exactly have a standout QB nor any standout wide receivers and a rookie running back, and the Raiders have been touted as like a proper challenger in the playoffs. So I know we'll have to see, but bit concerning to be honest, and definitely a loser this week.
Yeah, it's been a pretty awful month for the Raiders. Like before, like even 3 weeks ago, I had them as a wild card side, potential to upset a big team in the playoffs. But yeah, it's completely gone off the rails in the last 3 weeks. Barring a win to the Jets in a last minute Hail Mary, it's just been losses. So yeah, not great from the Raiders after such a promising start and a few promising outings against the Chiefs. But yeah, their season looks over. If it's not already, they'll have to produce some insane stuff in this last 3 weeks.
It's a miracle! Oh yeah! What about that one? Unbelievable! Balotelli, Aguero! Crowd cheers. Here's Siddle.